What y'all doing? Likes up. Yes. Thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. Man. Yes. The Lawyer Henderson podcast show tonight. Lights up, thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. Man. The white supremacists are taking an L. They are taking an L, man. Woo. The white supremacists are taking an L, man. Man, let's listen to it, man. Let's listen to it, man. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Come on now.
For the sentencing, Ahmaud Arbery's family addressed the court with a simple yet searing request.
The loss of Ahmaud has devastated me and my family. So I'm asking that the man that killed him be given the maximum sentence available to the court.
We'll never see Ahmaud again. So I feel they should stay behind them bars the rest of their life because they didn't give him a chance.
Judge Timothy Walmsley made it clear he agreed.
Today demonstrates that everybody is accountable to the rule of law. Taking the law into your own hands is a dangerous endeavor.
Arbery was unarmed when Travis McMichael shot him while his father, Gregory McMichael, watched from the back of a truck. Both were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Their neighbor, William Bryan, who recorded Arbery's last moments on that day in February 2020, was sentenced to life with a chance of parole after 30 years. The judge explained it was because Bryan showed something the McMichaels did not: remorse.
It is obvious from the beginning that he questioned the tragedy.
Outside the courthouse, emotions ran high.
While this is a day of great jubilation for this family, we want to make sure that America realizes that this ought not be an anomaly. It should be the standard.
Arbery's killing happened just months before George Floyd's murder. Both cases mobilized historic protests in the U.S. and around the world. In the courthouse, his family made it clear today was a day to honor their son, their brother.
You should know who my boy was.
We're going to miss his jokes, his impersonations, his warm smile. Ahmaud had a future that was taken from him in the instance of violence.
My heart is broken and always will be broken.
Chris Reyes, CBC News.
All right, we'll get
New
to
York.
that in a minute. Oh, man. White supremacists are taking an L, finally. That doesn't mean nothing yet. We'll explain in just a moment. Well, first, we got some business. Man, I did a podcast on Young Dolph's shooting, right? And in that podcast, ScrewTube had basically cut the sound off. So I was trying to redo it. Couldn't find the sound or whatever from Anchor. So, but in that podcast, I was talking about how, hell, when the Democrats get back are in office, how it's just crime just everywhere. And that crime is used, of course, to frighten white people, even though black people are the victims of mostly all of these crimes that happen. They'll use that crime. The local news media will use that crime to frighten white people in the suburbs and stuff like that. And also, in addition to that, is the fact that when I thought that the sound was there, was there. I was talking about how the dudes who shot Young Dolph down there in Memphis, and how they tried to think that they were going to do another one of those Tupac and Biggie type you know, for thing again, like beef that Biggie and Tupac had. And we have to be very careful because the music industry is a very dangerous industry. It is a ritual, it's a death sentence for a lot of Black people. We just don't understand how the music industry is very satanic. It is filled with just devilish and Hellenistic, you know, uh, ordeals and rituals and events that Black people sign up to. And when you basically sell your soul for the devil just because you want to get money out of an industry that screws you over anyway, that is a problem within itself. And I'm not saying that that was Young Dolph's situation. Young Dolph was very cool. What I saw with him, he was very cool. I remember even going to a local sports bar and they were in there rapping his song, Preach. And I mean, he just basically, it was like, everybody was, bumping the song, everybody was, rapping it, singing it, doing whatever, having a good time. And then you get a dusty Negro that comes and shoots you while you're eating cookies. I mean, it's just Black dudes, man, we got to do better than this, man. We're letting this music, we're letting white supremacy continue their. See, white supremacy has taken an L, but they have these dusty Negroes. We told y'all that the white supremacy premises have to always have these dusty Negroes on their payroll. They found out that a lot of these people who basically go out and kill folks that's in the industry, the music industry or whatever, that sometimes that the FBI and other people will have them on their payroll and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised at this new suspect that they got, Justin Johnson. Now, Justin Johnson said that he is innocent, but he's been accused of killing Young Dolph, and TMZ had reported that he is scheduled to turn himself in. How do TMZ get all of this information before everybody else do? It's just, But anyway, I just had a problem understanding how y'all can kill each other over just rap beefs, and it's just music. It's just don't make no sense. And like I said, these are the type of women. I mean, the type of guys who these women pull their panties down for. These dusty Negroes are sending these Black women to the cemetery, and they don't care about that. They just like a dude because he's a thug or he's hard and all this old stuff, and it really doesn't get you nowhere but the grave or in jail. That's all they're going. A bad guy, then, a sense, is only bad because he is not going to he's not going to stand up to white supremacy. We already know that. But he's going to stand up to another Black man, kill him, because he's been given a job by the white supremacists. But this Justin Johnson, who said that he's scheduled to turn himself in, said that he's innocent. So if he's innocent, we'll see about that. That's something that I want to hear. I guess let's hear his side of the story. Let's see what he has to say about being accused of killing rapper Young Dolph. Also, the rumors spreading that MSNBC host Joy Reid is scheduled to be fired by the network. She, man, let me just tell you this. All of these Black people who try to kiss up to white supremacy and kiss up to these folks that run these networks and try to mammy your way into, I guess, just to keep a job or maintain a job with these folks, y'all are taking an L. Y'all taking a loss. Just like with Simone Sanders, she basically resigned. A lot of Kamala Harris's aides are resigned. because that mammyism does not really help y'all. Y'all know that. Y'all just play dumb because y'all looking at the job and y'all looking at the money that comes with it. Okay. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm not going to be here long because I'm just getting over a cold here. And don't come in talking about that bull crap, COVID crap. I don't agree with none of that stuff that y'all talk about. Oh, you got this and all that stuff. No, you're not fit to set me up. And so I can go to some hospital and then they kill me on some gurney. Nah, I'm good. But I got one of those, how your ear and your throat, you got that sound in there, like you're trying to, that's what happened right now. So, but I'll be all right. It's cool. But yeah, but Joy Reid, if, she played herself with these networks. And, when white daddy, white mommy tell you there's certain things that you can't say, right, on the air. Like you can't talk that situation. I mean, you can't talk the way you want to. You can't report the news the way you want to because the corporations are controlling what the information is. That's the reason why no one is listening to the white media no more, because the mainstream media is not really reporting the news. If you are a non-biased news agency, you would have no problem going to neighborhoods and getting anybody else's point of view. That's the personification of a real news organization. You understand? That's the real purpose of news, is to go deep into what the grassroots is talking about, what these people in this middle age, neighborhood, what are they talking about? What do these powerful rich people, what they're talking about? News is supposed to be on a variety scale of everybody, who wants to give their opinion or whatever the events is in the hood, or even in your neighborhood or my neighborhood, rich neighborhood, any other types of hood. If the reporting was good, you would have it would be like no problem with us saying or calling out not only the old dead black media, but the white media for being biased in their news reporting. Okay. CNN is biased in their news reporting. ABC News is biased in their news reporting. CBS is biased in their news reporting. Fox News is biased in their news reporting. If these corporations was not controlling what information get out there, and these people went into the communities and really report the news on what real folks go through, then you will say, hey, we got a good, news organization in America. But that's not what's happening. We have biased news reporting. We have news reporting that basically do not tell the truth. They just want to, destroy everything, and then allow the science community to talk about COVID this and that, get that jab, and then cutting people off, or then destroying their videos or editing their videos. If this was really a democracy, and this is really if you have a freedom of speech, you wouldn't have no problem with people giving an alternative or anything. But these white supremacists are so desperate now that they have to cut us off. They have to edit our videos. They have to silence our videos. They got to say, oh, no, you got to register here, register there. They basically are upset because they cannot get people to even tune into their news hours no more, or when they come on air. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how many black people you hire, okay? It doesn't matter how many other people you hire, because if you're not dealing with the reality of the people who are facing issues and problems, and you're not speaking towards their needs, then why is somebody going to wait for you to come on at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11, whatever? Because you're not speaking nothing to them. the news reporting that you're doing is biased. You see, and that's the reason why the black media was created. We basically report on things that matter to the black community. It is always important for us to do that, because if we don't, then what will happen is that we'll continue to do just like we did during the old civil rights generation. We'll continue to let white people just lie to us and say everything is good and dandy, and no one could basically bring an alternative point of view to the discussion. And that's what they hate about the black media, the new voices of black media. We bring an alternative voice to what the white media is talking about. They don't like that. You see, they want us to say, okay, the media that you're getting is coming from these corporations and you just got to deal with it. Okay. I'm not going to be on here long, but I got to stay strong. Now, but that is what I wanted to talk about before we get into today's subject matter. And that's what I want to talk about. But yeah, we have to understand that black media, us controlling our own networks, is where we need to be. We can no longer trust white people and their media, because they're not going to tell us the facts, the truth about nothing. You see, these people owe us reparations. Imagine that we keep on listening to people who owe us $20 trillion of reparations. These people have not gave us nothing. They have basically ignored our plight, and we're supposed to then believe them. Just like with the jab, we're supposed to believe them, give us our reparations, and then we can talk about what else, the jab. But see, the old dead black media steps in a way, along with the civil rights generation, who we're sick and tired of. White people continue to bring their bootlicks out there, and nobody is listening to them. Okay? But I wanted to just bring that up, man, because I thought it was very, very important. Excuse me. Now, today we're talking about...
Did you know there is a potent 15-second...
Wait a minute. Hold on. And that brings me up. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, folks. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. But today we're talking about taking out the Barbarian trash when necessary. Another white supremacist loss. Okay? We're talking about taking out barbarism when it is necessary. When it's necessary to take out barbarism is when you see that these are people coming from different type of societies. You ever went down to these real small towns, and they got these, I want to say, these white people who, they got these snagger teeth, and it just look like they haven't bathed and like a wow, you know what I'm saying? It's look like they're just it's just a lot of just you can't explain it. Excuse me. But this is the way that the McMichaels were, that's their characterization. If they basically, before their attorneys, bought them suits and ties and stuff like that, these barbarian men were wearing overalls, dusty coat overalls, dusty shirt, like they were working in some type of field or something like that. Part of the barbarian, uncivilized, Hellenistic type culture. This is how the McMichaels were living at the time of this incident. And in that society is barbarianism. It is the fact that these are savages that if you went outside past Georgia, I mean not Georgia, but the county that they were in, which was Brunswick or whatever, and then you go deep and deep and deep, you're going to start going to certain types of communities. It's that those neighborhoods where you just see this like, wow, this is crazy. Is these people really looking like living like that? But most of the neighborhoods in Brunswick is pretty decent. You know, it doesn't look like that community from the In the Heat of the Night or whatever. But the barbarism that comes from these two guys, the McMichaels, they come from that culture. They come from that nomadic society, that barbarism. They basically, these are your dirty white supremacists. And they were told throughout society the rules of white supremacy, that you're supposed to leave black folks alone. Now, this shooting of Ahmaud Arbery happened at around the time that George Floyd had died or got murdered. Okay. So if this happened at the time that George Floyd got murdered, you would think, hey, let's not try to go shoot another black person or something, And excuse me. Hold on. Yeah, this is the time that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Now, this is the time that George Floyd got murdered, that you had the country, dealing with unrest. And then these three come around to make matters worse. Excuse me, guys. To make matters worse, they come and kill Ahmaud Arbery. So they were already thinking that this was the season to kill some Negroes. Okay. I guess that's how they were thinking. Calling themselves, claiming that they were doing a citizen's arrest just because a black man was jogging and he went and looked at a house that was in development or what have you. You see, taking the law in their own hands, thinking that they got some type of privilege here. And we have seen this from this barbaric type culture of white men. But they thought that they were going to basically get the white police officers treatment. They thought that they were going to get like at least about 10 years or 15 years. They thought that they were going to get the treatment like they gave Amber Geiger or Derek Chauvin, or they thought that they were going to get that type of treatment. Hey, we white, you know what I'm saying? And their attorney Goff and all these other guys down there, don't worry about it, buddy. The least they're going to give you the judge going to give you about 15 or 10, 15 years, buddy. Don't worry about it. Oh, no. Remember, sometimes white society has to get rid of its barbaric society as well. There is a little crabs in a barrel. Sometimes you have to throw away for good. This is what happened to the McMichaels. They showed no remorse in the courtroom. Okay, so cleansing their society of barbaric, uncivilized men like the McMichaels it's necessary in order to maintain white supremacy. This is the reason why we said that this is not a celebration for us as Black people. Okay, even though that the white supremacists have been taking L's. You see, all the people who were saying Rittenhouse is he's a king, and Rittenhouse is the man, and Rittenhouse is our, our hero, and all of this stuff. And Fox News and all these people who are bringing Rittenhouse on and stuff like that, they're sort of quiet now. Like, we just got this victory with Rittenhouse. We just got this victory with Josie Smollett. How did this happen? Wait. How did this happen? How did these 3 white men go to prison for life? Okay. Well, you have to understand that you are all given the rules by the age of 15, as Nellie Fuller said, the rules of white supremacy. And that sometimes that white society has to get rid of a few of its barbarian culture. And this is what they're going to do with the McMichaels. It's not going to be no appellate courts that's going to help them. Remember, Amber Geiger tried to get the appellate court. It was turned down. If you think that Amber Geiger was the only one who tried to get the appellate court to basically revoke or get her sentencing reduced or get her time served, think again. Okay? So you have to understand, you see, because white supremacy was letting the white folks know, listen, we got these Black people doing exactly what we want them to do. Okay? We still got them out there rallying. We got them out there protesting, but they're still going home and they're still working in our jobs. Okay? We still got them doing what we want to do. So don't you white folks go out there and cause no trouble. At the time that we already got a heated situation with George Floyd going on. And the McMichaels went out and took their stupid ass out there and killed another Black man. And thinking that this was going to be the season, the gun-toting season, that they were going to get some type of, I guess some type of, credit from the white supremacists. Like, yeah, the McMichaels rule. Yeah, you see. Then they're learning now that when you break the rules of white supremacy, then you have to also face the situation, okay? Because now, since the whole world was looking at George Floyd's situation, they were also looking at Ahmaud Arbery's situation as well. Because remember, like I said, the two almost happened almost at the same time, okay? But in order to keep Black people thinking that there is equality and that the time that the whole world is looking and watching, yeah, you got to then get rid of some of your barbarian culture. We're talking about these savages who just don't look like they're men at all, come from the Ice Age, the barbarism of these white men, like their snagger teeth and they're just dusty and stuff like that. And even not only did they go after the McMichaels, remember the prosecutor, she was indicted too. They got her too. And people was like, yeah, they did it because of Ahmaud Arbery. But remember, she got away with covering up with 2 state troopers or 2 police officers who had killed a white female. And her father was trying to seek justice as well. So this is not the first time that prosecutor let police officers off hooked. So they got her in a sense of indictment as well in the McMichaels, okay? So you have to understand, though, white supremacy also have tools as well. And when it's necessary to get rid of those tools, to make it appear as if the society works for everybody, you got to get rid of your white sacrifices. As Nellie Fuller told us, getting rid of those barbarian people in your society. And that's the reason why who cares if these two white men are going to be in jail for the rest of their life, and perhaps in federal court, um, the feds that approach the family of McMichael, according to the news sources, and they had asked for a deal to plead guilty to the hate crime and for to take the death penalty off the table. And I think that the family said no deal. Okay, so these guys may get the death penalty if they don't die in prison beforehand. So getting rid of your barbarian culture means that in order to maintain white supremacy, we don't need a lot of you white people out there acting up when we got black people who are still doing what we say that they must do. You see, this is one of the rules of white supremacy, that these guys did not understood, but they basically was still doing things that they shouldn't have done, and they got caught in the crossfire of doing something that basically violated the rules of white culture, and that is to keep quiet your barbarism. They chose not to do that. You see, when you look at the situation here, you'll see that there's a different type of cultural difference, and there's a different shaping that America must go through now. Excuse me, because white people's numbers are declining. Okay. So because white people's number are declining, they have to at least say, hey, okay, well, our numbers are declining. If we're going to basically keep these folks like we're doing in South Africa maintained under global white supremacy, then we have to also get them some type of justice. Okay. We're not going to be able to let them continue to think that they're not going to get justice if we don't get rid of some certain people. Okay. And so they have to do away with people like the McMichaels or this guy, the neighbor. They have to get rid of their savages sometimes. Okay. And I think we have to, to deal with what's going on in order to maintain white supremacy. But I wanted to go ahead and read here at CNN. The white media, basically, they like to put a spin on it. They were talking about, you heard the judge. Listen to what the judge was saying. Oh, he gave some kind of passionate speech and all that old stuff. And this is the reason why people don't listen to these folks, man. But let's go ahead. And speaking of the white media, CNN did this, covered the story, and it says Ahmaud Arbery's killers sentenced to life in prisons. Here's what happened today in the sentencing of the three men who killed Ahmaud Arbery. Travis McMichael and his father, Gregory McMichael, were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole by Judge Timothy Walsley on Friday in the death of Ahmaud Arbery. William Roddy Bryant was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Walmsley addressed Arbery's family ahead of the sentencing, warning that sentencing does not generally provide closure. In this case, I think many people are seeking closure, the mother, the father, the community, and maybe even parts of the nation. But closure is hard to define in a granular concept. It seems differently by all depending on their perspective and the prism of your lives, Walmsley said. a jury consisting of 9 white women and 2 white men and 1 black man found the men guilty of the raft of charges, including felony murder in November. And let me stop right there. And that's what they were hoping. Defense attorneys try to get an all-white jury now. They used to try to get an all-white jury because remember in the past, all-white juries would have let these race soldiers off. Now that's not happened. Now you're seeing that police officers and white men or white supremacists who killing black folks, you're seeing that even an all-white jury is now saying, no, we're going to find you guilty. You see, that's something that didn't happen in the past, right? Because in a sense then, see, the white media was out there telling you, hey, the public just don't want to see the police go to jail. They just don't want to see the police go to jail. And that's the reason why they were finding these cops not guilty of a crime and killing an unarmed black person. They just don't, that the people just trust the cops and blah, blah, blah. Now that you send the cops go to jail and you send these race soldiers go to jail, the white supremacists are quiet. Okay. It goes on to say here that a minute of silence. Walmsley called for silence for 1 minute before moving forward with the sentencing. That 1 minute represent a fraction of 2 that Ahmaud Arbery was running in the Satilla shores, he said before going silent. The chase of Arbery occurred for about 5 minutes, the judge said once he resumed speaking. When I thought about this, I thought from a lot of different angles, and I kept coming back to that terror that must have been in the mind of the young man running through Satilla shores, he said. And then Ahmaud Arbery's mother spoke, and then the father spoke, and of course you had, you couldn't do anything without having Lee Merritt and Ben Crump out there. You had Malik Zulu Shabazz out there, and the new Black Panther Party. Okay, and which I have no problem with that, but I'm thinking here is that I guess when we lost Johnny Cochran, they gave us Ben Crump. Okay, that's just the same as when we lost Martin. We got what? We got Jesse Jackson, we got Al Sharpton. We lost Malcolm, they gave us Farrakhan. My point is that all of our revolution, like Khalid Muhammad, when after he died, then they gave us Malik Zula Shabazz. All of our real soldiers are dead. They were also fighting for economic inclusion as well. They were not just fighting for justice. They were fighting for justice, yes. But when they got to the economic sense of things, that's when they started to be a threat to white supremacy. White people will say, okay, we'll put this person in jail. We'll put that person in jail. We won't mess with your leaders as long as you don't talk about economics. And I think that's what really separates those who are already gone versus who we have now. I don't think that you can basically trick black folks into thinking that that's the reason why they're dead. Okay, when you start talking about the economic situation, that's when you start dying. Okay, like for instance, the economic situation that black people see, the problems with black folks is justice as well, but it's also money and economic opportunities. And I think Lee Merritt and Ben Crump and all these people understand that. They understand that Malcolm talked about economics. They understand that Khalid Muhammad talked about economics. They understand that Martin Luther King talked about economics. They understood that this is an economic challenge as well as a justice situation, that you just don't talk about the problems of the black community and then say, well, there's no no room to talk about the economic situation. Okay, I think you sort of lose black people in that way. You see, we can't be fooled no more by civil rights leaders when economics is not brought up. It's too much. It's too clear now. Okay, that everybody who were really strong has died after they talked about economics. Okay, look for instance when Dr. King was in Tennessee. Okay, he started to talk about economics. He started talking about the fight with the rights of these men who was wanting to get a decent wage and decent salary and start talking about economics. Okay. Malcolm had an economic program there. Okay. And I think that when you replace so-called, I won't say so-called leaders, I would say when you place those black men and women who had tried to fight for us, not only in the sense of not only in the sense of justice, but in the sense of economics, I think that that's when the white supremacists start to kill them. Okay. Because, of course, I told you, white people don't want us to have money. They want us to just swirl around without an economic system. That's the reason why their wealth is $127 trillion to black people's $1.3 trillion. That is unheard of. That's insane for a people only to just have $1.3 trillion and then go on normally about their day without looking at how white people got you locked into a social situation where you work outside an economy, you don't produce anything. I think it shows you that it is necessary to keep Trojan horses within our community so that we don't talk about that. Okay. So, but we as black people, we're waking up to that situation. That's the reason why we're talking about reparations. Okay. But it's a lot of things to go along with not only talking about reparations, but talking about other things that the government says they cannot do for us. And that's the reason why we're going to be talking about Jim Crow Joe Biden on our next live. Jim Clyburn finally got a challenger out there in South Carolina. We'll be talking about that next week on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. But I wanted to just basically talk about the Ahmaud Arbery case, talk about, this, like I said, they got to get rid of, certain types of white people who are not following the rules of white supremacy. This is nothing unusual about that. Nellie Fuller, like I said earlier, called them white sacrifices, right? Is that, hey, in order to maintain white supremacy, hey, we don't care about getting rid of a few white folks, as long as we are, maintaining white supremacy. So there's no, okay, let's give them life in prison. We're still controlling the world. We're still controlling things. We're still doing this. We're still doing that. So, at the end, we'll get these Negroes and their so-called leaders out there talking about their producing justice. But notice none of them talk about the economic situation because, of course, they can't. They're not allowed to. And that's the reason why they're no threat. Excuse me, like Dr. King or Malcolm X and as such. Okay. If you have not subscribed to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show, please do so. Like, share, and subscribe.